Latinos Out Loud podcast. Yeah, that's what this is. Latinos Out Loud.
Yo, 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 yo! LOL-eros, you have no idea where I am right now. Do you want to know? Are you sure? Okay, I'm glad you asked. I am live from the radio station of CUNY Brooklyn College, WBCR. Oh, we are here. I just finished wrapping up my advanced radio and podcasting class, and now the students, los estudiantes, son los producers. That's right. They flipped the script from students to producers, and they are producing this episode of Latinos Out Loud. Shout out to Kaylin, who's to my right. Shout out to Daniel, and shout out to everybody who's outside supporting their teacher. La profesora loca is in the building. Okay, not only is that exciting, but I have something else that's so exciting. Okay, I have spoken about going to Lopez versus Lopez. When I went to the live taping, I was out in LA, and I got to see in action just a plethora of talent, from like the young actors to the Lopezes. Let's talk about the Lopezes. Not only George, but Mayan Lopez totally blew me away. I got to read a little bit about her, and now she's going to be on the show. That's right, you heard it first. She's going to be on this episode of Latinos Out Loud. How blessed am I? This girl has been doing it for a while. You know how people always like, oh, overnight. No. She's been putting in the work, y'all. She is an alum of Second City, Chicago. She was out there working on the conservatory. She had her TikTok show. There's so many things that she's done. She's been on Handsome, a Netflix murder mystery. She's been on Other People. She's been on Jersey, and she's been on Mr. Troop. And she just finished taping RuPaul's Drag Race. Yeah, she was a guest judge. This girl's doing so much, and now she is the co-creator, writer, co-executive producer, and co-star of the NBC comedy series Lopez versus Lopez, which you know you can catch on NBC and then also on Peacock. Now, this show was conceptualized basically from her TikTok. So all you TikTokers, keep talking, because you never know what's going to come of the TikTok. It's so crazy that there's now a sitcom on NBC based on her concept and her addressing her parents' divorce and that family dynamic. She's also estranged. She was once estranged with her dad, and now they're rebuilding their bond, which is so beautiful to watch through the art of television. I mean, I can't even it gets me a little emotional. It's just so lovely to watch. And so we're going to talk to her today. And I just want to shout out the whole NBC crew for hooking me up with these amazing interviews, bars, that rhymed. And let's just get into it. You guys, thank you for listening. Shout out to Brooklyn College. Brooklyn in the building. Brooklyn. That's how we do. Brooklyn. Speaking of Brooklyn, real quick, I went to go see the Knicks versus Nets game on Friday. Okay, the first half was amazing, right? Kaylin was also in the building. Kaylin, what happened? I don't know what happened. The second half just went out of the window. We were winning. We were up by so much. It was such a great game to watch. But shout out to the Knicks. Yup, playoff bound. We knew that already. Whatever. We got it next year, Nets. We got them next year, Brooklyn. Okay, black and white. All right, represent your borough, Matt Thorough. So anyway, here in Brooklyn, it just gives me such pride. And now there's this extra layer of pride now that I'm able to say that I have done an episode of Latinos Out Loud. Wait a minute, time out. I've already done an episode from Brooklyn College, but not from WBCR. If you remember, we had the live show last December here at Brooklyn College at the Walt Whitman Theater for the Performing Arts. We recorded 2 episodes where some of these students were also in the building. Kaylin, you were in the building? Kaylin? Okay, I'm grabbing some of these students post class because I'm going to have to keep them in my pocket, in my Brooklyn College pocket, which isn't that deep, but you know what I mean. Okay. But it gives me great pride to have recorded this episode of my podcast from WBCR, which I was listening to all the time as a student. There's some really great programming coming out here. And Kaylin, people can access this programming from anywhere. Tell them how, can you just get on the mic for a second? Tell them how to access WBCR programming. Go for it.
Yeah, you can listen to WBCR by going to our website, wbcr.net. And we have a player on there, and you can listen to all of our shows, including sports shows, relationship advice, comedy. We're just a happy bunch on here.
Yes, you are. And you're also a happy bunch in my classroom, except for when I give you too much homework. Real quick, I want to get on the mic and I'm going to interview you, and I'm going to pretend that I'm not in the room. How's the class going so far? How's the professor treating you? Is she fair? Is she unfair? Is she miserable? Is she terrible? Go ahead. Pretend I'm not here. La, la, la. I'm not listening.
It's a very interesting dynamic because you let us actually explore the different podcasts, and you're giving us an insight into the, podcast avenue and seeing the industry. And maybe I get a A+ after this. I don't know.
Oh, snap. She thinking because she's producing the episode that she's going to get an A+. Well, guess what she is? If you do a good job on your final, which, hey, look, there's really no way to mess that up, bro. I mean, first of all, you're doing so great. Let me shout you out real quick and talk about your podcast. So Kaylin is working on a podcast. Well, you know what? You should do it yourself, but it's the mythology and mythological creatures out of Honduras. So shout out to the Honduran culture. Do you want to say anything else about it?
Yeah. So Honduras is the country of ethnic background that I come from, and I'm very proud of where I come from and how I've grown up. And I just think that highlighting its culture is the best way to see the country, because in the media it's portrayed in a very negative light. So I would like to give it like a shining opportunity to be seen in a positive light.
God, I love that so much. Don't you love that? All of the ideas coming out of this advanced radio and podcasting class is just, they're stellar. And I can't wait to see them grow and flourish. They're like plants that I'm like watching go from seedlings to like, they're going to be just big, beautiful floral displays that the Brooklyn Botanical Gardens is just going to want to take and picture and put on display themselves. All right, yo, let's get into this episode right now with Mayan Lopez. Shout out to Mayan Lopez. Let's follow her. Let's support her. And let's check out this interview right now. Hi, Mayan. It's so good to meet you. I'm Rachel La Loca from the Latinos Out Loud podcast. This is
Hello,
a very
baby.
special episode. This is so special for me, namely, well, two reasons. You're here, number one. And number two, I just finished teaching my advanced radio and podcasting class, so I'm live from the radio station of Brooklyn College, and my students are producing this episode.
Oh my gosh.
It's so special. So they're listening in, they're watching. Instagram is listening in. Congratulations on Lopez versus Lopez. I had the pleasure of going to a live taping just 2 weeks ago. Seleni's invited me. So I got to see you in action, girl. Okay?
Okay. Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
You are amazing. You're on fire. You had us cracking up. And little did I know that you also studied at Second City, Chicago. Well, I'm a student of UCB here in New York, and you are not new to this improv comedy game. You're no rookie here. Like, talk to me about your experience studying improv and how that plays as a factor on set for Lopez versus Lopez.
Absolutely. I think, what I love about improv as a whole, one, I think it was a place where I was able to really train and hone what I was given by both of my parents because they were in their own right. But I think with my dad, I inherited that like quickness where something would just come into my head. And I think I was in Second City camps as a kid and studying and going to the conservatory in Chicago. I love being able to create something that you don't know where it's going and it's not going to happen again. And I think performing in front of live audiences and always keeping on their toes, that was always something that actually that was the part that I was most comfortable with. The sitcom and like what camera to look at, that was what I had to learn. But with the live audiences, and sometimes you're rehearsing something or you say a line and you're like, oh, I did not think the audience was going to react like that. And also I think being able to play with our cast and with my dad, sometimes I'll be like, oh, okay, I got one, prepare yourself, or he'll do that with us. I think that also keeps it fun, and we're always constantly changing and adding, and I love that I'm able to kind of have that fun and spontaneity in the sitcom that I've learned from Second City.
And I saw that in action. As I mentioned earlier, there were several rewrites as you were shooting. I'm like, this girl your brain must just be synapsing like crazy. Are you making some of those recommendations behind the scenes?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I'm pitching, or, sometimes I'm like, I'm going to try, or just have just to try something. I think with improv, it's like I've bombed many a time at improv, and it's like you can't be afraid to make a fool out of yourself and just kind of make a choice and be brave. And I think also doing something that's so close to my life, I'm like, well, maybe I can get away with saying it to him this way, and I can kind of sneak in.
It was so great. Gosh,
I didn't say it. Mayan said it.
You did this like aerial jump on the couch, which was perfect each take. Yeah. I'm like, how did she just everything you did, everything you said. You're such a star. Now let's dial back a little because you were saying this show was conceptualized from your TikTok over the pandemic. Was this the divorced parent series on your TikTok? Is that where this is from?
It was that one really helped sell the show, which I like to think of it as like, the first where you can kind of see Rosie and George, it's my dad's kidney transplant. And really, I wanted to set the record straight because, and I was twerking upside down and saying my mom still gets hella money and alimony, and really just kind of setting the record straight and just kind of like mic dropping it a little bit. So that was the one that got Debbie's attention. Then she was able to see the divorced parents, and then she was like, "This is a show."
So the LOL-eros out there, that's our hive. A lot of them are aspiring writers and directors and Latinos that want to get in front of and behind the camera. So can you walk us through that development process? What was it like? How long did it take? What was your role in that process?
From the very beginning, I'm a co-creator of Lopez versus Lopez, as well as being a co-executive producer and a writer. And so from the beginning, Debbie, when we were approached with this project, we just kept telling stories and was just trying to get as much as you can, because then you can whittle down and figure it out. But it took almost like 2 years because of the pandemic. It started, the conception of the show started in 2020, and we started filming in 2022. So, there was time where we were able to go, but I think as, this show is just to be powerful and to be bold, I think as, a young Latina, and I think Debbie and I both are, these Latina women. She's the one of the only showrunners or Latina showrunners. And I think that is also very, in itself really powerful. And we're able to go there and not be afraid. You have to just go fully in, because our stories are passionate and beautiful, and they're universal. So to be able to just do that with no fear, you have to just be bold. Use your voice.
Going
Don't
back
let anyone.
Going back to your experience at Second City, I mean, if I can touch on that for just a moment, as a student at the Upright Citizens Brigade, I was the only Latina in these classes. Like how was your life as a student in Second City, Chicago? Did you feel a connection? Did you have to be even more bold and more, express your Latinidad even more to just, to feel comfortable? What was that experience like for you?
Yes, I was like one of the only like Latinas in, improv. I definitely, just, yeah, continue to have like that boldness and that, passion, and not afraid to be loud and not afraid to use the strengths of what I value in being Latina. It definitely integrates into what I did at the Second City. I was able to kind of be myself and kind of just figure out who I was as a comedian, and definitely be able to like test out, being like those issues, but also like, being the only Latina, who am I gonna have? Maybe Quentin, my first Quentin, being able to like figure out, biracial. But really, I was like, no, I wasn't even able to really, touch on the Latina or things that were specific to the community in improv. But I'm glad that I get to do it now on Lopez versus Lopez.
It's so lovely to watch, and thank you for doing that for us. Now, you're working with your dad. It's take your daughter to work day every day with you guys. So I'd love to know, what are you learning about and from your father working on this project with him?
Yeah, I've always admired my dad and always known, just from watching him, how quick he is, and I watch him work, and to still see after he's been doing comedy for over 50, almost 50 years now,
Wepa.
to be able
Wow.
to see just that artistry, the masterfulness of it. And I really like learn by, like, I have my own chops, but I'm still learning, and I'm able to learn from him. And he always keeps everyone laughing, and we're able to, sometimes I get him too. And I think to be able to work with him in this way is something that I never thought would happen, and I'm glad that our relationship is able to help people because we've gone through quite a lot to get to the place that we are now, and so I'm grateful that our pain is going to be able to be helpful and hopefully inspire a lot of relationships, their own healing that people can get from watching our show.
Oh, yes, your journey is inspiring, and we need to see more stories like this. So it's really quite lovely to watch. Now, you're going to be a guest judge on RuPaul's Drag Race. This is amazing. Are you excited? Like, tell us your sentiment behind that, because that's different than this sitcom Lopez versus Lopez.
Yes, I already was. I was a couple episodes back. It was from the top 6 to the top 5, and that was still like the best day of my best day of my life. Because that show was, I get to work with my father, but really I always working with my father was just so I can get to working with Mother, like the queen of drag.
Hey.
And it was such a really powerful moment for me, not only to support a community that has supported me as I've gone through my life and my struggles, but also the strength of drag queens to be able to be vulnerable has helped me in my work to be vulnerable. And I got like a great lip sync. It was Morphine, Love Dion, and Dawn, and it was still one that they talk about without the season. So to be able to like see it in person and kind of really be involved in this process, the team is so absolutely wonderful, and to be able to talk to the queens in this way and also be a Latina guest judge. With like Becky G was a guest judge, and they had 5 Latina
Ow.
that season. To be able to also continue that representation outside of Lopez versus Lopez means everything, and on my favorite show.
That's so great. And that's sort of my last point. If there's any advice that you have for Latinas navigating this industry right now, what would that be?
I would say that we are acting up, and I think with what we have to continue to be our voices, just keep using our voices, keep remembering the passion, and remember our people. I think with that we have so much richness, and that's what the world needs, is the depth and the passion that we have. And so always consider that a strength. Never lower your voice. Your loudness and your boldness is what this world needs, and just make them see it and see it for yourself.
That's so lovely. Mayan Lopez. Hi, Mayan Lopez. Thank you so much for doing what you do. Thank you for taking the time for Latinos Out Loud. We love you, girl. We're watching and we're supporting you, okay? Thank you so much. Shout out, check out Lopez versus Lopez on NBC, and the very next day it's on Peacock, people. There's no excuse. It's everywhere. Todo lo lao. Thank you so much, Mayan.
Till next time.
Till next time. Yo, I mean, tell me that wasn't amazing. I mean, look, I got 10 minutes of her time. Hopefully we can get her back on the show. Leave some comments. Be like, Mayan, come back. We want more of Mayan. Hashtag more Mayan on LOL. I don't know. I'm just creating some hashtags for inspiration. But this was really incredible just to like hear about her journey and her relationship with her father and how that is also flourishing on set. It's wonderful to see this. Like, we're getting to see it through a sitcom. I can only imagine how she goes home at night and it's like, wow, I'm rebuilding with my father through the art of television, through the art of creating. And it's not only creating for TV, it's creating for us, Latinos. We're seeing things, and shout out to Al Madrigal, who's also on the show. Shout out to Selenis Leiva, who we just interviewed on Latinos Out Loud. You should check out that episode. There's just this Lopez versus Lopez love fest going on. Shout out to NBC, who keeps giving me these amazing guests that are adelantando nuestra cultura, that are moving our people forward while making them laugh. Selenis' episode was really special to me. One, because I had just broken my toe before it. And two, because like hearing her story from sketch comedy in New York City to the NBC Universal lot is also very inspiring. And I hope you drew that inspiration as well. It doesn't mean that you necessarily have to be an actor or a writer, but a journey, period, is something to celebrate. A journey is something to reflect on, to see where you started and where you are today, and to give yourself that pat on the back. Bravo, bravissima. Give yourself a standing O. Go ahead, do it right now. I'll wait. There you go. You know what I'm saying? We deserve it. We put in the work, and then it's really nice to see the fruits of our labor just come out, okay? And I love those fruits, all of them: strawberries, blueberries, bananas, peaches, everything. Okay, so enough about fruit. Make sure you like and subscribe. We are on YouTube, okay? Please follow us at We Are Latinos Out Loud. You could follow me at Rachel La Loca, RACHE La Loca. You could also give us a call at 978 Latinos. Yeah, there's a number, 978 Latinos. It's so easy. And I may answer the phone. You never know. You may just get me on the line and we'll have a talk. We could talk about anything. Seriously, anything. We can even talk Latinos Out Loud after dark if you want. Seriously, we can talk about anything as long as it's relevant to the show. Okay? Thank you so much for tuning into this episode. Shout out to Brooklyn College. Shout out to WBCR. Thank you, my students, my friends, Daniel in the building, Jess in the building, Kaylin in the building. I see you. I see you. You get an A. You get an A. You get an A. Okay, let's work on those A pluses. Make sure you do your homework and your listening logs, okay? And make sure you work on that final, all right? Yeah, the final is a trailer and a pilot to their podcast, which they've been developing since day one. And I'm just like so warm and fuzzy about all these great ideas coming out of the classroom, and I can't wait to see them picked up by the big networks or the small networks, or for you guys to go independent. There's so many different routes to take. Shout out to all the podcasters out there, all right? P2P love, podcast to podcast love. Again, follow me at Rachel La Loca if you want. No big whoop. Slide in the DM. Let's have a talk. Thanks so much, LOL-eros. LOL-eros. On that note, we out.